Hi Capricorn, welcome to your reading. If you guys are new to the channel, I do timeless readings, which means that whenever you find this video is when you're meant to hear the messages within it. And in case you subscribe, I upload my new videos for Capricorn and Cancer on Thursdays. Also, I do want to mention that I am fighting off a cold, so I apologize if my voice gives out through this video, or if there's some slight coughing. I do apologize in advance, but the deck that I'm using today is called the Tarot de Marseille. And as always, if you guys are interested in getting a personal reading, the link is in the description below. Also, just as a heads up, sometimes the cards will flip over in the deck. I do see them. However, I only take the cards that jump out like these ones have. Usually if they jump out in groups that are too big, I'll put them back. But my goal is to get you guys 8 cards. So we can get started on your reading now. But I do want to mention that in case you enjoyed the reading, the best way to let me know is by leaving a like or a comment. But your overall energy, Capricorn, is the Fool. Now, the Fool is a phenomenal energy to have. The Fool is new beginnings of every kind, right? So it really just embodies that energy of the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Cups. And to get that as your overall energy really means that you guys are really undergoing a huge transformation right now. I feel like you guys are really setting out on an adventure here. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, it might be some kind of a business venture. For some of you, you might actually be going back to school, because I do see this 8 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Pentacles talks about skills, right? And it talks about the development of those skills. So for some of you guys, you might be going back to school to maybe get like some kind of a degree, or maybe even like trade school, or maybe just like a certificate in something, maybe even just like on-the-job training. But I feel like you're really harnessing some kind of skill here. And it's very interesting because we see the King of Swords in reverse. Now, the King of Swords in reverse to me is a very interesting king, just because he tends to be a little bit on the more sort of pseudo-intellectual side when he's in the reverse. So this is the kind of person who will get into like Facebook arguments and like pretend that they're so much smarter than you because X, Y, and Z. This is the kind of person that'll say something like, "Ooh, I scored 147 on an IQ test one time that I took online," right? So this person sort of values their intelligence above everyone else's for some arbitrary reason, but they're a little bit tone deaf and can't really see that, you know, they're not. So unfortunately, I feel like you're gonna have to deal with someone like this, someone who's a little bit tone deaf, someone who's a little bit emotionally immature, someone who has a little bit of a superiority complex. But I certainly see that it's not going to be a huge problem. And I just feel like it's going to be a minor annoyance. You guys might be having some kind of an issue with this person, but I don't think it's going to be something to where it's like it ruins your life or anything. It's just going to have to be an annoying person that you have to deal with. But I also am seeing that you guys are showing up as the Queen of Swords here. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, like this reverse energy isn't you, for sure. And for some of you guys, you might be dealing with a partner. So it's interesting because this King of Swords is almost coming up as 2 different people. It's coming up as this sort of condescending pseudo-intellectual, but it's also coming up as the upright, as someone else who might be some kind of a soulmate. Because I see the King and the Queen who are looking at each other. And I'm for sure getting that there needs to be sort of like this period of introspection before this happens. It's very interesting because in my head, I'm sort of going back and forth on whether or not this king is actually just one person and it's like a soulmate who is a pseudo intellectual, but it doesn't quite feel right to say that, right? I feel like perhaps even this person may have been like that in the past, but then like they've sort of learned from their mistakes, and then by the time you meet them, they're like a little bit more mature in that regard. But certainly that's the qualities of the King of Swords in reverse. But I'm seeing the King and the Queen, so I'm feeling that there's soulmate energy. But those two energies don't necessarily have to be connected, if that makes sense. But I'm looking at your Five of Cups here and your sorry, and your Hermit card. Now, the Five of Cups talks about disappointment and despair and sadness. So it's talking about having three cups and, or rather, having five cups and three of your cups spill over, right? So you're left with just the two, which is a little less than half. And I feel like, unfortunately, you guys have had it a little bit rough as of late. And that's why you're coming up as the Queen of Swords, because you've had situations where it's been very difficult and you've had to sort of pick yourself up and say, you know what, I have two cups left and I'm going to do whatever I can with those two cups. So I feel like you guys have really tried to do your best with what you have. And that's why you've had this sort of Hermit card here. I do want to mention that the Hermit card talks about Virgo. So you guys might be dealing with a Virgo, but that doesn't necessarily have to resonate. But like I was saying, I feel like you guys have really gone deep within and figured out a lot of things about your life and how you are and what you are in situations. Because I see this Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords is very interesting because it talks about somebody who is trapped in their own situation, but it's a situation that they can get out of, right? So it's not depicted in this card, but in most other decks, you'll see a woman or a man who is blindfolded and tied, and they're surrounded by swords, which they could, in theory, use to escape. But because they're blindfolded, they can't see that their solution is much closer than they thought. So I feel like you guys have been sort of trapped in a situation. And I see this Ten of Wands as well. So it's like these three cards up here are a very difficult situation. There's the Five of Cups, which is sadness and sort of despair. And then you have the Eight of Swords, which is feeling trapped, not being able to escape. And then you have the Ten of Wands, which is sort of everything being forced onto you. I feel like you're a very responsible person and people will sometimes take advantage of that. I feel like you guys might be the primary breadwinner in your house. And I feel like as a result, you guys have really had to go deep within and have had to learn how to sort of set your boundaries a little bit and how to really do the best with what you've got, because that's what this is talking about. And that's why you're the Queen of Swords. And I keep saying you're the Queen of Swords, but I haven't explained why. So let me just take a moment to explain to you. The Queen of Swords, her sword is red not by accident. Her sword is red because she's had to use it. It is covered in blood. She's had to fight, and she's had to work for what she has. And that's what you guys have done. You guys have worked and worked for what you have. And that's why she has such a cold exterior on her face, is because nobody can tell her otherwise. She knows what she's had to do to get to where she is, and she will continue to do what she's done until she's thriving. And I feel like that's the point that you guys are getting to. I feel like you guys, in the past, have been in a point where you've been strictly in survival mode, and now you're getting out of it, and you're having this Fool moment where you're really getting a new beginning, and you're able to go into thriving mode. I apologize for my cough, but with this Three of Wands, that's a very powerful moment, because Three of Wands to me talks about the final step in your plan where you've like taken in all the new information, you've made your plan, and then you've executed it. And with this Fool, you've executed your plan, you're seeing what's happening, and now you're looking at what the new is bringing you. So I feel like with all this negative energy, it's in the past and you're working towards having a brighter future. And I feel like that brighter future is going to involve somebody who is a little bit perhaps immature now, but I'm certainly getting that you're going to have somebody who is really on the same energetic length as you pop up, if they haven't already. But certainly, I'm getting that there's going to be good things ahead. Like, the dark chapter is over, and it's time to really start marching towards your brighter future. But that was your reading first time around, Capricorn. If you enjoyed, please leave a like or a comment because it really helps out the channel. And I personally really love to know if these readings resonate with you guys. But like I said before, I upload many videos for Capricorn and Cancers on Thursdays. But in the meantime, you guys are more than welcome to watch any of my other timeless readings that I have up on the channel. And with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time for your next reading.